All right, guys, part two to this video. So where we left off from the first one is we read through this first little paragraph, and it gives us some bold-faced words, which tells us that they're giving us some definitions. So of course, I always like to highlight the word and its definition so that I know what I'm doing moving forward and what the words mean, right? So summaries are a brief restatement in our own words of the most important ideas. An objective, which is what a summary should be. Objective means that there's no opinions, beliefs, or judgments. So in a summary, it's only the facts. So we're going to read the passage below, and as we do, think about what we would include in a summary of it. So it says, the influence of the Roman Empire was the single most important force in early Europe. Without the unifying effect of the empire, regional or tribal differences would have prevailed, and Europe would have remained a land of separate states, each avoiding contact with the others. Instead, Rome and its culture pulled the different areas together. Spain, for example, was a stable and secure part of the Roman Empire, and Roman culture had a strong influence there. Aqueducts, such as this one in Segovia, Spain, are examples of the empire's expansive reach. A less visible sign of Roman influence is Spain's language, which is firmly rooted in Latin, which is the language of the Romans. So a couple things I'm thinking here, right? And you guys have said this in your do nows. The first sentences of each of these paragraphs really feel like they're important to me, right? They kind of feel like they might be a central idea, because a lot of times central ideas are the first or last sentences. And so I'm going to highlight those because I feel like they kind of summarize the details that come afterwards and do a nice job of being a central idea. Okay, that's kind of what I'm feeling so far. But let's scroll down. It says, read the passage again, this time underlining the central idea. Oh, look, I just did that. And some supporting details. Then read the chart below to see how to summarize the text. So I just highlighted the central ideas, but let's see what it tells us about in the supporting details here in this chart as I scroll down. So the central idea that they came up with is that the Roman Empire had a far-reaching and lasting influence on Europe, right? So from these paragraphs, they were able to get that central idea by pulling these sentences together, right? The influence of the empire was the single most important force, and its culture pulled the different areas together. So the central idea that they said was that the empire had a far-reaching and lasting influence on Europe. Then the supporting details that they pulled out, they said that aqueducts are architectural evidence of the Roman Empire's presence in Spain, right? So again, a detail that supported their central idea, the aqueducts, well, there's two things I see. Number one, I see the picture of it right here, so I can highlight that or circle that. And then the other thing is I see in my text, not too far down from one of the central ideas, is this example, right? So in a second, those things will be highlighted. But if you look, all you have to do is think, okay, well, I get the main point of this, right? Which is one of these first sentences here. So now I have to find evidence that proves this point of how far the Roman Empire was able to influence these places. And then I found down here proof, right? An aqueduct is a type of proof to prove this here, because this aqueduct, which was a way of transporting water, it's still there, right? And so we can see in the past that the Romans influenced Spanish people because they built stuff there, right? Another one, it says the Spanish language's Latin roots are another piece of evidence of Rome's influence. I can look right here, right, and it says the Spanish language, or Spain's language, is firmly rooted in Latin, which was the language of the Romans, right? So again, if I was trying to prove the idea that the Roman Empire had this big impact on Europe, all I would have to do is check those paragraphs, and I was able to find the supporting details, which is what they put in the chart here. And then if you do a little math problem, which you guys know makes me nervous, but if you add the central idea plus the supporting detail plus the supporting detail, you get the summary. Okay, it says the Roman Empire left signs of its presence in Europe. The aqueduct in Segovia, Spain, and the roots of the Spanish language are two signs of Rome's lasting impact on Spain. So they added all these things together, and when they did that, they were left with the summary. So in the next video, we'll continue with that. See you in the next one.